tonight on CTV News at 6. A focus on safety concerns in the core.
And certainly we have a regional jail as well. Sometimes those individuals come here and they don't have the capacity or the ability to return home. And therefore they stay here, and that we heard evidence of that today.
The Greater Sudbury Police Service Board talks homelessness, crime, and addictions in a special meeting. And a rough start to the busy tourism season.
That rock is covering the trails, so it's really unsafe for tourists or locals to walk along this trail system.
It's been a slow recovery on Manitoulin Island following spring flooding. Plus, making community connections.
To build strong communities, you need to have gatherings like this that are safe, that are family-oriented.
A fun fair gets underway in Timmins, bringing together first responders, community groups, and families.
CTV News at 6 with Marina Moore and Tony Rima with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Safety issues in Sudbury's downtown are once again in the spotlight. The issue was front and center as the Greater Sudbury Police Service Board called a special meeting today. Details from CTV's Madison Merrier.
Sudbury's downtown has been the focal point of many concerns for residents in response to crime, and Monday's special meeting called for a motion to better address addiction intervention.
The Greater Sudbury Police Service Board requests the Ontario government to enact legislation that provides for involuntary addiction treatment, which would include assessment services, stabilization intervention, treatment and follow-up support for individuals who chronically place service demands on police, accessible and affordable housing, social services, and healthcare system.
When we are called and there is an offense that has been committed, we are holding those offenders accountable, and we are putting people before the courts. But again, sometimes the court system isn't what this individual needs, and just because they're unhoused and they have mental health issues and addiction issues doesn't necessarily mean they're a threat to public safety.
Cunningham says arrests and seizures can force an individual struggling with addiction to result to petty crime, but help needs to be accepted by the individual.
That's why there was a motion filed today by the board asking the province and the federal government to look at the legislation. What tools can we have to better support these individuals and ensure that they get the help that they need when they need it, not when they want it.
Health Sciences North weighed in about support for acute care, but pointed out that long-term support programs have a wait list.
We don't only look at the needs in community of Sudbury, but we also look at the needs across northeastern Ontario. And in many of our programs, we are the only service in all of northeastern Ontario.
And Board Chair Jerry Lougheed questioned Chief Cunningham regarding a myth that other communities send individuals to Sudbury for resources.
They don't get a bus ticket back to where they came from. The Crown or the courts don't tell them they have to go back where they came from, so we inherit. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Because of their regional hospital that we have here, and certainly we have a regional jail as well. Sometimes those individuals come here and they don't have the capacity or the ability to return home. And therefore they stay here, and that we heard evidence of that today. And now, how do we coordinate better with that that they are returned home and they are taken care of in their communities? Because that's ultimately what should be happening.
HSN reports that the Northerners' related opioid death rate is 3.3 times that of the provincial average, while Lefebvre says involuntary support can help with individuals who have been banned from services due to their actions while on substances get the support that is necessary. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Sudbury.
August 10th is observed as Prisoners' Justice Day in memory of individuals who have died unnatural and violent deaths while incarcerated. The John Howard Society says since 2000, more than half of the deaths in the correctional system are due to unnatural causes, with the average age of death for an inmate being 44 years old. Community members marked the day at the John Howard Society, with one individual recalling his experience and the lack of mental health support.
I spent most of the month crammed into a 4x8 cell with two other adult males feeling unsafe and even scared, keeping my feelings to myself in an effort not to bother my cellmates. With this level of overpopulation, there's absolutely zero chance of everyone receiving their mental health care. scared.
Unfortunately, it's a sad reality. It really is a sad reality. But it also shows us that we have a lot of work to do. And I'm hopeful that in the future we'll start really taking a look at some of these correctional facilities, especially since our current government is looking at spending more money. Well, let's see if we can improve the conditions and decrease the rate at which people pass while incarcerated.
Berghammer says the provincial government's tough-on-crime approach makes her fearful about conditions. Sudbury police have laid 9 charges following a recent collision on the Kingsway. Police say 2 vehicles collided midday Friday on the busy street. When police arrived on the scene, they learned one of the drivers had fled. It was later discovered the 39-year-old man had been driving a stolen vehicle. He was arrested and faces several charges, including failing to remain at the scene, theft of a vehicle, and possession of a Schedule I substance. A Sudbury family is speaking out after a 14-year-old was badly beaten at a local skate park. The 14-year-old was taken to hospital with a broken nose and arm. Police say they've identified one suspect in the assault that took place July 31st. You can learn more about this story by going to our website, ctvnewsnorthernontario.ca. Time now for our first check on weather, and it's been a sunny start to the week, but also a few thunderstorms passing through. So what's in store for the rest of the week? Let's bring in CTV's Tony Rima with those details.
Thanks for that, Marina, and good evening, everyone. Unsettled conditions over the next couple of days until probably Friday or so. A severe thunderstorm watch is in place in through North Bay. Environment and Climate Change Canada says that should be in place until about 9 p.m. Then after that, skies are going to start to clear. As we take a look at our forecast radar, pockets of activity, clouds, showers, and risk of thunderstorms for the most part. So things are going to become unsettled. Temperatures should be 23, 24 degrees. We're right there for the next few days. More weather details later in our show. Marina.
Thank you, Tony. And by the way, Ontario Forest Fires has reported 2 new wildland fires in the northeast region, bringing the total number of fires in the area to 44. The new fires include Sudbury 47 northwest of Telephone Lake and Sudbury 48 northwest of Moose Lake. Both fires are classified as being held. Most summer fairs take place on weekends, but there was one in Timmins today that brings together families, first responders, and local organizations. The Boats, Bikes, Mikes, and Lights Fair is back with the goal of building stronger community connections. CTV's Lydia Chubak was there.
Okay, ready?
Time to go. The second annual Boats, Bikes, Mikes, and Lights Educational Fun Fair is taking over the White Waterfront Conservation Area. The free family event is a partnership between the Voices of Porcupine Community Group, Timmins Police, and the OPP. Organizer Carol Tonge says the day is about creating something positive for the community.
If you stay here today, you walk through the park, you'll see lots of smiles and people laughing all day, and that's what means something. You know, there's so much bad news all the time that you need something good every once in a while, and this is what we're trying to do with this educational fun fair.
The event also brings visitors face to face with the people who serve the community, including police and conservation officers, members of mine rescue, paramedics, and firefighters. Ontario Associate Attorney General Michael Thibodeau is among those taking in the action.
To build strong communities, you need to have gatherings like this that are safe, that are family oriented.
Well, I've been with my friend the entire day, and I went to the bike parade and all of that stuff.
This endeavor is also supporting the Timmins and District Humane Society.
This isn't just about fundraising, it's about bringing communities together, it's about bringing people over to share their stories and share some knowledge about how everybody can help animals in this community.
Organizers say this year's event is even bigger than last year's, with more community groups and people taking part. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, South Porcupine.
Looks like a lot of fun. Still to come here on CTV News at 6. Sudbury hopes a catalog of home building designs could help fast-track approvals for affordable housing. Plus, more young Canadians are finding work this summer. What's behind the surge?
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Ottawa is cutting the cost of shipping steel within Canada for the next year in an effort to help companies hit hard by tariffs.
Through this program, eligible shippers will receive a 50% rebate on the cost of transporting Canadian steel by rail and marine for up to 1 year, or until available funding is fully allocated. Now, this is excellent news for Canada's steel industry, for our producers, for our steel workers, and for Canadians who rely on steel products every day, and in doing so help strengthen Canada's economy.
Transportation Minister Stephen McKinnon announced a $100 million rebate program to cover half the cost of shipping eligible Canadian steel across the country by rail or sea. The goal is to encourage manufacturers to buy Canadian steel instead of relying on U.S. and other foreign suppliers. And that's welcome news for northern steelmakers like the Sue's Algoma Steel. Both the company and its steelworker unions have been calling for lower shipping rates, according to local MP Terry Sheehan. The announcement comes in response to the still active 50% steel tariffs from the United States and a promise to knock down provincial trade barriers. Ottawa has committed to a number of large nation-building projects from sea to sea, despite the Sue's central geographical location. Taking part in some of those wasn't always deemed viable until now.
Algoma Steel executives have shared with me that that's exactly correct, that there's a lot of opportunities to have Algoma Steel bid on, but once they factor in the cost for transportation, it doesn't make sense to them. So having a reduction, a significant reduction of 50% on rail and marine is going to make Algoma Steel extremely competitive, in particular when they're bidding on private sector, projects.
Only Canadian-made steel shipped within Canada qualifies for the new program. Major flooding this spring devastated a popular trail on Manitoulin Island. CTV's Angela Gemmel was invited to get a closer look at why restoration is taking so long.
See a lot of erosion on the far side.
The project coordinator with Manitoulin Streams points out the devastation from April's flooding that's kept the Kagawong River Trail closed this season.
A lot of the trees had eroded with the force of the water coming downstream, and they all fell into the river. And a lot of these trees were transported downstream, and a lot of them created these log jams, as you can see over at the bridge.
Manitoulin Streams has been tasked with clearing and repairing the trails. The not-for-profit estimates it could cost over $1 million for restoration over the next 3 years.
There was also landslides from the hills that came down. That rock is covering the trails, so it's really unsafe for tourists or locals to walk along this trail system.
So hopefully working together with them, local contractors, we can get the trail back up and running, and we can get the river back to its pre-flood condition.
And there's a timeline to get some of the work done. Debris needs to be removed by mid-September to support local ecology.
Have it in place so that when the salmon do come up, there is going to be some habitat for them to spawn.
The trail closure doesn't seem to be impacting the nearby Bridal Veil Falls, which are packed with tourists. Billings Township was only able to open the falls to visitors a few weeks ago.
Last long weekend, you couldn't get a parking spot in and around the falls. There are a fair number of people here today as we drove by. So this time of year, usually the last couple weeks of July, first couple weeks of August is our prime tourist time.
The township is asking everyone to respect the trail closure signs as the restoration work gets underway over the next month. Angela Gemmel, CTV News, Kagawong.
The Ontario Liberal Party will hold the first debate of its 2026 leadership race tonight. Former leader Bonnie Crombie resigned in January and is now running for her former job as Mississauga mayor. The Liberals will select their next leader in November. There are currently 5 candidates running. They're former federal industry minister Navdeep Bains, Stephanie Bauman, and Lee Fairclough, who are both current Liberal MPPs. Finance and tech entrepreneur Eric Lombardi and longtime public servant Dylan Mirando are also seeking the party's top job. An announcement from the federal government will support housing builds by opening up a catalog of home building designs. The city of Greater Sudbury has officially joined the project as a local partner. The catalog boasts 50 pre-approved low-rise plans, which are free for all Canadians to use. The city is reviewing designs from the catalog to fast-track approvals for affordable housing builds within the city.
The City of Sudbury has looked in and has looked at some of the homes that are single-family homes, but also duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, so what they call that gentle density, because we know that there's such a housing need here, a rental as well as home ownership, so that the variety of the homes that they're looking at is really important.
According to LaPointe, the catalog takes into account different building requirements from coast to coast and was developed by architecture and engineering teams. Back we go to Tony now for a check on the current conditions this Monday evening. Tony, should we be watering the garden tonight?
Marina, it all depends upon where you live. Some communities are going to get some rain overnight, others, well, clear skies. Let's take a look at our current temperatures, and they should be around 23, 24 degrees Celsius this time of year. Spot on in through Timmins and Cochrane. A little cooler for Moosonee. There's that rain in through Kapuskasing. 20 Celsius, 21 at this hour for Chapleau. A little cooler in Wawa, 18 degrees, but plenty of sunshine. 25 for Sault Ste. Marie. As we go to Parry Sound, mostly sunny and 24 degrees. Let's head north to North Bay. Off and on showers. There's a severe thunderstorm watch in place for North Bay. That'll last until 9 this evening. Plenty of sunshine in through Temiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake. For Sudbury, sun cloud. 25 degrees, a little warmer for Espanola, Elliott Lake and Gore Bay, 26 degrees at this hour. Your 7-day weather forecast is still ahead. Marina.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, Tony. Next on CTV News at 6, a former Toronto flight attendant pleads guilty to fraud after posing as a pilot to get free flights. And the death toll is climbing in Colombia after a devastating and powerful earthquake. A Montreal man has been arrested for allegedly making death threats toward Prime Minister Mark Carney. A 51-year-old man was charged with uttering threats. Police allege he made the threats in an email to a senator and others. Authorities say the investigation was launched last week, leading to the arrest. Canada's Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is heading to Washington for another round of talks, with the August 19th tariff deadline closing in. CTV's Mike LeCouture is in the U.S. Capitol and canvassed Americans about the state of talks.
As the American capital deals with another sweltering day, trade talks between Canada and the U.S. are heating up. The Minister of Canada-U.S. Trade, Dominic LeBlanc, is coming to Washington in anticipation of more meetings. Canada and the U.S. are in the middle of these trade talks. Meantime, Americans here just want to see the relationship return to normal.
Definitely don't need more tariffs. Anything, get rid of it. And if you want to start off, you can lessen it, but definitely we need to get rid of it.
I think it's horrid. I think it's terrible for our world economy. I think it's bad for Canadian economy. It's bad for American economy.
Others admit they aren't following the movement of every meeting. That's why the Canadian American Business Council launched 2 educational interactive games. One shows Canadians how the U.S. is often the source of everyday grocery items, and the other shows Americans how many states count on Canada as their top customer.
Really highlighting how important and integrated we are has been really valuable.
The CABC also commissioned a study to show the impacts of tariffs and a possible collapse of CUSMA. It shows Canada could see a $271 billion hit to the GDP over the next decade without the trade deal. In the U.S., it would be a $1 trillion loss over 10 years. But keeping it in place could see growth and more jobs.
A successful agreement would also support 137,000 additional U.S. jobs and 98,000 Canadian jobs in 2027 alone.
Burke and industry sources are cautiously optimistic after last week's meetings.
While creating meaningful opportunities.
As trade talks continue, equally complex negotiations are happening over Canada's purchase of new fighter jets and whether or not to buy the American F-35.
The question of an acquisition of that size would normally obviously be a point of debate or dialogue between two sovereign nations.
While those talks continue, there is a sense of urgency on the trade front. The U.S. has threatened a 50% tariff on a wide swath of Canadian goods if there isn't an agreement within the next 9 days. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Washington.
Air Canada has announced it will further delay flights to Dubai and Tel Aviv until January 2027. The latest travel update comes after Air Canada first canceled flights to both destinations in February when the U.S. and Israel's war with Iran started. Service to Dubai was expected to resume in October, with flights now being pushed to mid-January. Air Canada is expected to resume service to Tel Aviv around the same time. The airline says Canadians with scheduled trips to the Middle East may be able to rebook to a later date without paying additional fees and change their destination or cancel their trip for a travel credit depending on circumstances. Israel has rejected President Donald Trump's 15-point plan for Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says no military withdrawal will happen until Hamas is genuinely disarmed. Trump's Board of Peace announced an agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas last month, but Hamas also said handing over its heavy weapons was contingent on Israel withdrawing forces from Gaza. Israel has been carrying out strikes in Gaza despite agreeing to an initial ceasefire last fall. Oman and Iran are said to be closing in on a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. However, any deal would require the U.S. to meet conditions set by Tehran. Those conditions include paying compensation for war damage, lifting sanctions, and ending military threats. The U.S. and Iran are not in direct talks. In a recent interview, President Donald Trump said his administration is low-keying it with Iran while only semi-negotiating. Tehran says it won't talk to the U.S. as long as terms of their interim ceasefire are broken. At least 70 people have been killed and dozens of buildings have collapsed in Western Colombia after a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck the country this morning. Footage from the city of Cali shows people searching through the rubble as emergency crews assess the damage across 4 cities. Multiple structures were severely damaged. The earthquake was also felt in neighboring Ecuador and Panama. The disaster comes just 2 months after devastating quakes in Venezuela killed more than 6,000 people. A fast-moving wildfire in British Columbia has claimed the life of an 80-year-old woman. She was trying to escape the Bald Range fire near Summerland. Penticton RCMP say the woman was evacuating from her home in Meadow Valley with a family member when she suddenly died. Another evacuee found her and reported her death in the early hours of Saturday. Mounties believe the death was wildfire-related. The BC Coroner's Service is investigating. No other wildfire-related deaths have been reported. This comes as more than 20,000 people are under evacuation orders near Lake Okanagan as a rapidly spreading wildfire tore through BC communities.
We lost everything. We lost our dogs. We couldn't get our dogs out in time. There's just nothing left at all. It's devastating.
Evacuation orders are in place across Summerland, home to about 12,000 people. Another 8,000 residents in and around Peachland have also been told to leave as the fire spreads along the western shore of Lake Okanagan. The fire was first reported late Friday evening and quickly exploded in size, burning through 50 square kilometers in just a few hours. In other news, the trial has begun for a former gang leader accused in the decades-old killing of rapper Tupac Shakur, one of the most high-profile unsolved murders in the U.S. Prosecutors say Dwayne Davis, a former leader of a notorious LA street gang, ordered the killing and supplied the gun used in the 1996 drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. Davis is now 63 and faces life in prison without parole if he's convicted. Shakur, a beloved rapper whose legacy has endured since his death, was just 25 when he was killed. And there's more news ahead, but first, your full weather forecast with Tony Rima and what's in store for the rest of the week. Tony.
Thanks for that, Marina. Let's start with our forecast radar and pockets of activity, some showers, and it's going to continue over the next little while, off and on, depending upon where you live, in through tomorrow morning. Cap and Timmins, you're going to get some clearing. Then after that, connect the dots, if you will. Showers in through Timmins, Kapuskasing, into western Quebec, and then it becomes a little more intense during the dinner hour on Wednesday, especially north of Sudbury and through Timmins, along with Kapuskasing, you name it. It's all because of low pressure system, and this is kind of churning in our broadcast region and will over the next couple of days. Unsettled conditions, we'll get some sunshine, then the clouds, the showers, and eventually that low will move out. We're also being influenced by a trough, and that's creating those unsettled conditions, if you will. Overnight, this is what you can expect. In through Sudbury, there is a chance of some showers, 12 degrees, Sault Ste. Marie, 11. Just a few clouds out there. In through Timmins, 10 degrees. Timiskaming Shores, a chance of rain, chance of showers in through North Bay. Moosonee, this is what's heading your way. Overnight, 11 degrees, a chance of showers. Cap and Hearst, 10 degrees. Wawa, single digits overnight. 9 degrees, chance of showers. Gore Bay, clear. And take a look at Perry Sound. There is a chance of some rain, risk of a thunderstorm or two, but still warm, 16 degrees. All right, here's your 7-day weather forecast, starting with Sudbury Nickel Belt. Unsettled for the next, well, 24, 48, 72 hours. Take a look at that. Plenty of rain on the board. Friday, we get clearing. Saturday looks nice. Sunday, back to the showers. And Monday, a mix of sun and cloud. For Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, over the next few days, not all that bad. Thursday, that's when we have to kind of hit the brakes. There is a chance of some rain. Then we get that clearing on Friday, spills over into Saturday. Sunday, back to the clouds and a chance of precipitation. And Monday, well, spot on temperature-wise, 23 degrees. For Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, risk of thunderstorms tomorrow. Temperature drops, but the rain is going to stick around on Friday. We start to get that clearing. Continues until Sunday. That's when there's a chance of some precipitation. Moving now to Timiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake, some showers over the next few days. Friday, beautiful sunshine, temperature a little cooler, then it ticks up ever so slightly. Sunday, Monday, though, 23 degrees, spot on temperature-wise. And finally, your 7-day weather forecast for North Bay, West Nipissing. Tomorrow, sun, cloud, and a chance of some rain. More rain in through Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, the clouds move out. We get beautiful sunshine for a couple of days. Sunday, though, you know, not so nice. Overcast conditions, a 40% chance of rain. Then on Monday, mostly overcast and 23 degrees will be your daytime high. And our picture of the day is courtesy of Wendy Lynn Hill of Sault Ste. Marie. And last night, she went for a bike ride and spotted these leaves starting to turn color. Yes, we're still a ways away from fall. However, it is coming. Send your pictures to us at weather.pictures@bellmedia.ca. You're watching CTV News.
A former Toronto flight attendant has pleaded guilty to posing as a pilot in order to get hundreds of free flights. CTV's John Woodward has more on how he managed to fool 3 American carriers.
Makes you wanna go. Dallas Pokornik boasted on social media of a high life, a jet-setting lifestyle that brought the former Toronto flight attendant to locations around the world. But U.S. authorities say Pokornik was cheating, posing as a commercial pilot to get over 200 free flights from airlines based in Honolulu, Chicago, and Fort Worth, Texas. Jet plane headed up to the sky. Court documents filed in Hawaii say the scheme came down to earth when he presented the fake pilot ID to an airline employee in Panama who took a picture of the forged badge. The defendant's former employer reviewed the same picture of the badge and confirmed the badge to be fake. Pokornik was arrested and spent 30 days in jail there until he was extradited to the U.S. It's not clear what airline Pokornik worked for, though a Toronto-based airline that code shares with airlines in those cities is Porter. In a statement to CTV News, Porter said, "We're unable to verify any details related to this story." It's not the only pilot credential forged out of Toronto recently. Pilot Jeffrey Wall was charged by Peel Regional Police with faking a pilot's license for 20 years. That case unearthed after ID checking moved from paper to online.
Well, I was very surprised, actually, because the security at the airports is so strict at the moment.
CTV aviation expert Phil Dirty said security around pilot badges and airport restricted access cards could be looked at. Pilots getting these seats also have to be in uniform, something Dirty says shouldn't be relied on because realistic-looking ones are easily purchased online.
One of the things is that being an ex-employee of an airline, they knew what was going to be, what the protocols were, and how to get through the security.
As for Pakornik, he pleaded guilty on Thursday to wire fraud and has agreed to pay the airlines back. John Woodward, CTV News.
Well, it's been said they don't make them like they used to, and that's true for many of the appliances we have in our homes. A company had a contest to find the oldest working air conditioner, and the winner has been cooling the air for decades. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
This old air conditioner is being removed from a home in Pickering, even though it's still running. Buttons Heating and Air Conditioning had a contest to find the oldest working air conditioner in Durham region. And this unit, made by a company called Fetters, was still going strong.
Was it still blowing cold air?
It was. I came here last week to do the confirmation. It was working, and it was cooling the house very well.
Nigel Charlton says there were more than 100 entries in the contest, which included working air conditioners that were 41, 43, and 44 years old. But this model was the oldest working unit at 52.
Look after it, keep it clean. It'll look after you.
95-year-old Lois Kemp remembers getting the air conditioner in 1974.
I declare open the Olympic Games of 1976.
She had entered a lottery to help support the building of the Olympic Stadium in Montreal and won $1,000. She used some of the winnings to buy the air conditioner.
I was just a teenager when it was installed.
Steve Kemp says he remembers when the family got the air conditioner and says over 52 years he doesn't recall it breaking down, not even once.
It's been there since '74, and like every year we've maintained it, we've cleared it, we've covered it in the winter. We've always cleaned it in the spring, make sure it's running top notch.
Winning the contest means Lois will get a brand new Daikin air conditioner. Charlton says it will be more efficient and save her money.
Yes, it's been running for 52 years, but if anything happened, she wouldn't be able to fix it. But she's got a brand new one that's more efficient. It's going to be quieter and far less taxing on her energy bill.
This past winter, the company had a contest for the oldest working furnace. The winner came in at 69 years old.
I don't recall us ever having any troubles whatsoever. Not one.
With the new air conditioner in place, Lois is optimistic that it will last for many years to come.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. I hope so.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
When anaphylaxis begins, even a minute's hesitation in giving epinephrine can have serious consequences. That's why a new nasal spray is being welcomed by Canadians with severe allergies. CTV's Pauline Chan explains.
Lainey Chodurker has had many experiences using an EpiPen on her young kids.
5 or 6 on both kids. I have 2 sons and they both have multiple severe food allergies. Dairy, peanuts, tree nuts, sesame, soy, egg, garlic.
And she says it's not just tough managing what they eat.
It's also about, especially when kids are little, what are the other kids eating and are they handling all the same toys? Are kids washing hands?
Because allergic reactions can progress to anaphylaxis, you need to be ready and willing to give yourself a life-saving medication.
And while the Chodurker boys are okay with needles, hesitation to use epinephrine devices like EpiPens are common.
It is hard. Giving it to a small child, giving that medication to a bystander, like helping somebody that's having an allergic reaction when it's a needle-based device, that's proven to be quite a barrier.
That's why the Chodurker family is glad that Neffy, a nasal spray form of epinephrine, has been approved in Canada.
The current Health Canada indication is for patients weighing 30 kilograms or 66 pounds and above. So on average, the 8-9-year-old with some variability.
The nasal spray works in seconds, just like an EpiPen. It has been tested for safety in a range of conditions from 50 degrees Celsius to use after being frozen. And it doesn't expire for 30 months.
I think as they get older and the onus shifts from me administering to them administering, this could be an option for them to make sure that there's not that fear.
Chodurker doesn't have the Neffy yet, but is hoping to for the start of the school year. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Canadians are still being asked to roll up their sleeves and donate blood after a summer slowdown left the national supply under strain. Canadian Blood Services says more people have been coming in to donate since it first flagged a nearly 20% drop in the blood supply in July. Communities across the country have rallied to help, but supplies are still low for several blood types. New data from the World Health Organization is shining a light on the number of measles cases in Canada. The WHO says Canada has recorded about 1,100 measles cases so far this year. That's half as many as the 2,200 cases reported across the U.S., despite America having a population roughly 10 times larger than Canada. Still ahead on CTV News at 6. The On the Edge Fringe Festival returns to North Bay with a focus on education and the performing arts. Details coming up.
Clothing provided by Laura, Melanie Lynn.
An Ottawa tattoo artist hosted a unique outdoor event over the weekend with the goal of making friends. CTV's Camille Wilson has more on his initiative focused on bringing his community together and creating connection.
I didn't think this many people would come.
Local tattoo artist Nico Winter is trying something new to bring his community together.
I posted a video on Instagram like 2 weeks ago, and I've never been to a run club. I've never been to a poetry reading thing.
Posting a video online saying he was looking for friends, stepping out of his comfort zone.
I think it'd be really cute if we do like a poetry reading thing. I've always written and played music and done poetry and stuff, but I've never expressed it outwardly anywhere. And same thing with running. Like I've always kind of done it like in secret a little bit.
Let's go. Putting together his first Slow Sunday event for anyone looking to join him for a morning run, poetry, and a picnic.
It's hard to talk. It's hard to chat with people. So when you put yourself in those positions, then you just get better at them, right? If you avoid them, you won't get better at chatting.
A big turnout Sunday with about 150 people from experienced to beginner runners.
I'm a little bit scared, but I guess I can run slow, and I hope to find people that run slow as well, and also to get tips from people that have been running for a much longer time.
Winter was worried when he realized he needed a permit from the city to host an event in a park, but the Akora Center came to the rescue.
I saw a video that said he's not getting the permit to host this event, which is when I texted and I was like, we have space, come here.
Ending the morning with local poets and storytellers sharing their work.
I'm so proud of everyone that's going to come up and that it's going to be their first time speaking.
Nice to meet you guys.
The mission behind the event, to make friends.
I thought it was a great opportunity to meet some of my neighbors. I think nowadays it's getting difficult to kind of break the ice, meet new people, meet your neighbors.
Just building community, and you know, especially with social media, like it's so toxic and consuming.
Camille Wilson, CTV News.
Well, closer to home, lace up your hiking boots. An annual Sudbury favorite is returning this weekend. Organized by the Rainbow Routes Association, the 9th annual Sudbury Camino heads out this Saturday, August 15th. The event is inspired by Spain's Camino de Santiago. Hikers can take on a full 30-kilometer challenge starting at Moonlight Beach or opt for a 15-kilometer route starting downtown. With over 200 participants signed up so far, officials say this is a record-breaking turnout.
We know this is something that's really special for Sudbury because there's nothing quite like it in all of Ontario. And not everyone has the ability to travel all the way to Spain. And if you care to spend that time in nature and really connect with either others while you're walking on the trail, or for some individuals, taking the time just to connect with yourself.
Registration includes a shuttle from the Kinsman Sports Complex, a Camino passport with detailed maps, and water stations throughout the hike. The hike runs from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you can register online. The arts take center stage in North Bay this week as a summer staple returns for its 13th year. The On the Edge Fringe Festival returns Wednesday through Sunday, taking over the Capitol Centre and various downtown locations. The 5-day festival features free workshops, 9 independent shows ranging from theatre and comedy to dance and spoken word, with 100% of ticket proceeds going directly to the artists.
The thing that people love about fringe festivals in general is that you are surprised every time. It exceeds your expectations because you don't know where your expectations are. And when it comes to non-traditional shows in non-traditional venues, you can't really plan for what hits you and what pulls you in.
And passes are available through the Capitol Centre box office. Ariana Grande is topping the charts, and some beloved musicians are being immortalized. David Daniel has that and more in the Hollywood Report.
My dad is coming home. Bringing vengeance. Bringing it all.
Odysseus beats Batman. The Odyssey has raked in $1.1 billion worldwide in less than a month. That pushes it past The Dark Knight Rises as the highest-grossing film ever for its Oscar-winning director, Christopher Nolan.
If this is my case, I'll let it ride.
Petal blooms. Ariana Grande's Petal is her 7th #1 album on the Billboard 200. The disc debuted with her best first-week sales since Thank You Next 7 years ago.
Are we ready?
The musicians we lost the day the music died have been immortalized in Iowa. Statues of Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and J.P. Richardson, the Big Bopper, were unveiled Friday in Clear Lake. The stars performed at the Surf Ballroom there on February 2nd, 1959, before dying in a plane crash later that night. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
The unemployment rate for young people in Canada has gone down for a 3rd straight month. CTV's Kamal Karmali has more on what's behind the hiring surge.
In a place where everyone is always on the move, the biggest shift this summer at this Toronto trampoline park might just be how many teens are applying to work here.
We're seeing anywhere from 500 to 1,000 applicants just for one flight crew role.
Good job, good job. One of those was 17-year-old Abdul Qadir Saeed, part of a growing number of young people across Canada to land a job these past few months.
I showed my mom, I was shocked. I was like, no way I got hired here.
Youth unemployment rates continue to drop across the country. Take a look at last July's numbers for ages 15 to 24, dropping from 14.5% now down to 12.5% for this July. And for returning students, that's those who have summers off, going from 17.5% now down to just over 15%.
Youth unemployment is still very high. It's almost twice as high as the overall unemployment rate, but it's down significantly over the last few months, and it's certainly headed in the right direction.
Job experts say the initial shock from the U.S. trade war seems to be wearing off. Employers now feeling more confident in hiring youth after seeing the economy remain stable.
And what business wants more than anything is exactly that, is stability. Boring at times is good for business.
Especially in industries that employ a large share of young workers, like restaurants, retail, and summer tourism. We may now also be seeing the effects of Ottawa reducing permits for international students and temporary workers.
Those entry-level positions typically have been a bit more heavily weighted towards new Canadians.
But at this Toronto bike shop, you won't find many youth working here, a reminder that some businesses are still reeling from a shaky economy.
We've needed to shift our focus and actually support our full-time workers, allowing them to keep their positions year-round. And we've been hiring less youth.
Hoping to ride out the bumpy road ahead before opening more doors to new workers. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
With more on today's business news, here's Marilla Fernandez from BNN Bloomberg.
A potential breakthrough for menopause symptoms gave Abcelera a major boost, at one point up as much as 41% today. Shares of the company surged after Abcelera says a mid-stage trial of its menopause treatment succeeded. The drug significantly reduced the frequency and severity of hot flashes. It's a hormone-free antibody therapy and could provide an alternative to menopause hormone therapy. The potential success of this new drug could also prove to be a meaningful milestone for Canadian biotech. At this point, though, the drug is still in mid-stage development. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.74. West Texas Intermediate also finished the day higher, up to 82.13 a barrel. Western Canadian Select is up to 62.06. And yet another record high for the TSX, closing 77 points higher to finish at 36,458. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold is up 47.25, closing the day at 43.89.16 US an ounce. Silver also up 2.24. Copper up a nickel, and nickel down 6 cents. Ending the day at 7.56 US a pound. Back we go to Tony now for one last look at the weather for Tuesday.
Thanks for that, Marina. It's all over the map. Let's start our forecast with Sudbury. Sun, cloud, and a 30% chance of rain in through Timmins. 24 degrees, sun, cloud, showers, and a risk of thunderstorms. For Sault Ste. Marie, beautiful sunshine. 24 degrees, should be about 23 this time of year, so slightly above normal. For North Bay, 24 degrees, sun, cloud, and 30% chance of rain. In through Parry Sound, gorgeous sunshine coming in at the normal values, 24 degrees. And finally, for Temiskaming Shores, sun, cloud, and a chance of some shower activity, 40% there, and a daytime high of 24. Marina, it's back over to you.
Well, finally for us tonight, the Perseid meteor shower is set to reach its peak this week, so hopefully we'll get some clear skies for that. The meteor shower takes place from late July to mid-August in the Northern Hemisphere. It will reach its peak on Wednesday and Thursday and should be visible to the naked eye across Ontario. The Perseids are debris left behind by the Swift-Tuttle comet, which has a 133-year-long orbit. The last time it passed through the inner solar system was more than 30 years ago, so don't forget to look up. That's all the time we have here on CTV News at 6. Thanks for watching. Good night.